Yeah, utter wrong. I do hope you have your hibiscus. Oh, hello. Um, hang on, let me just do that because I'll start and send feedback. Millie, thank you very much. Legendary Battenberger Millie's in right at the very beginning. Thank you. I'm just going to take a little sip because the comments are lively tonight. Holy baggery, that's rather warm. Evening, one and all. Welcome to the Wednesday Sermon on the Mount. I'll let you make your own gags up. So welcome to the Theatre of the Mind, Wednesday. Simon, what are we going to talk about this evening before I get to your comments? Well, tonight we're going to identify this week's devil in disguise. Baby, 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 and it's not who you think it is. We're going to talk about Starmer the Harmer. What do you mean, what's he done? 6 weeks in? There's going to be your questions. And sorry, my questions, your answers. There's going to be showbiz, there's going to be royalty, and then there's going to be clowns. And this evening, we'll do to the clowns what they've been doing to us for the last 6 weeks. So, touch your toes, yeah, wrongin'. And the Black Swan. Who said that? Dan Bronca, possibly? Let's get to some of your comments while everyone gets their feet under the table, of course. Andy Sinsky says, I vote Adrian for PM. Oh, you're wrong. Andy, what would you want me to do that for? The pain of it all. Can you imagine the shite that I'd start flinging? You looked at home in the Great Hall earlier and your parliamentary coat of arms. I did think about making one. You can buy them. Anybody can buy them. Anybody can make their own up. What Andy says, your coat of arms must have Battenberg included. Adrian for PM. Now, before we get into more, be pleasant and be friendly. The body of the kirk is a welcoming kirk. It is welcome to everyone. So if you're kind of, if your derriere's a bit lardy, then budge up and let people in. Let them at the front. Bless them, so I can see the whites of their eyes. Who's that? Neil Cunningham. Thank you very much, Neil. Louisa Hampson says, evening all. Rusty Mouse says, you pie-eyed done Ed after the pub. That's okay, we can finish off the sentences that you can't get to the end of. That's every week, Rusty Mouse, every single week. I mean, I'm fine now because I'm only just starting, but by the time the adrenaline fatigue kicks in, I could be saying anything, literally anything. Paul Moreton, evening Louise. Oh, I say Paul, not a welcome for the rock and rev, the irreverent reverend. Amalia's in the house tonight, congregation. I'd completely forgotten. Swear we've just had one of these. What? One of what? You're wrong. Have you been at the Battenberg early? Blimey, Amalia, early doors. We haven't even started yet. But Amalia, you always forget, and somehow the hand of God touches you. You can get them done by the police, by the way. The hand of God touches you and you remember. Adrian, leave my lard arse out of your conversation. Who's that? We'll get to that in a second. Louise Hampson, evening, Paul. Oh, there's a bit of flirting going on. Andrew James, evening, all. Les Vogel, good evening, Adrian and fellow Roggins. I hope we get some real deep news tonight. Let's see what transpires. Oh, Les, it has to be deep. It's like my trainer once said to me that squats and sex are exactly the same. If it's not deep, it don't count. So Les, I've got some. I'm straight in. I'm straight in tonight. I'm at it. I'm going for it tonight. As I say, we're going to identify this week's devil in disguise. We're going to talk about Starmer the Harmer. We've got my questions, your answers. We've got showbiz, royalty. We've got the clowns who are on holiday, seemingly. And we'll do to them what they've been doing to us for, 14 years and now 6 weeks. So, as I said, Les, touch your toes, incoming. Andrew James said, did the yacht sink by a freak accident or a man-made superwave? Andrew, we're going to talk about that tonight. From the chair. Oh, good evening from the chair. Good to have you in the body of the kirk. Evening, Adrian. Something's bothering me. How can woke and Islam both win when they oppose each other? How can Labour support both? It's two cheeks from the chair. But I agree with you. But as I've said to you before, Galatians Chapter 4, verses 18 to 22. No such thing as a Muslim. Mind you, no such thing as a Jew. It's in the Bible, so it must be true. The biggest selling book of all time. And it's God's word, according to the kiddie fiddlers in Rome, so it must be true. Maybe we'll talk about that later. Peter Sadler, evening, Adrian, you Mackham. Oh, thanks very much, Peter. Stuart, evening, Adrian, good timing, just finished work. Oh, I say, Andrew, what-o? Andrew James too. Stuart, no, we'll leave that one out. Dan Brooker, Napoleon, stand by me, lad. Good one, Dan Brooker. Penny Hen, go deep then, Adrian. Oh, deep it will be, Penny Hen. Towelblock Tracy, freshly baked Battenberg, now on sale in the vestry tonight. I have vodka flavoured or Nuki Brown flavoured. Ooh, pink and orange for me. I'm definitely one that goes for the pink rather than the orange. Bovril says the Allen coat of arms must also contain a pegging tool as well as Battenberg cake. Bovril, you'll get us thrown out. Is it some kind of heraldry company that does all that? You'll get us kicked out, never to be returned. Andrew, Dan Brugger, body of the Kirk. What's the question, Dan Brugger? Mad Matt UK, evening, Adrian. I'll back you for Prime Minister or Prune Minister. I'm not quite sure what that means, Mad Matt. What do I have to do for that? Am I touching my toes again? Now, where on earth did I put me Wookfit? Where is Terry Wookfit? I haven't seen him for ages. Philippa Fraser, I've been watching some media on Trump. Oh, Philippa, do tell us more. Dan Brooker, what is the body of the Kirk? It's a church, you're wrong. Mind you, the Church of England, they're having a rebrand, so they're not going to use the word church. Now, that kind of fools me a little bit, because surely the church is the church. And if you don't call it a church, what do you call it? Well, the theatre of the mind is the body of the Kirk. The Kirk is a Scots word for church. So that's what, but, you know, there's certain code words that we use here on Theatre of the Mind that gets us around certain things, which I'm not going to go into because that'll give the game away. Anyway, Amalia Grassi, fruit cocktail in juice and a touch of Alpen milk, going down a treat. Breakfast at the wrong end of the day. Amalia, I do like that, though. It's a trend that I would support, definitely. Gareth Henshaw, evening, Gareth, welcome to the body of the Kirk. Apparently, there's been another stabbing incident, this time in Dorset. Starmer's crashing worse than Cardiff City at Burnley. Oh, I say, Gareth, Sunderland, second in the league on goal difference with Burnley. And I think we're playing Burnley this weekend, or is it Watford? Could be Watford, could be Burnley, but I'm happy with the way Sunderland are playing. And, Gareth, there's like multiple stabbings every single day. These people haven't got a grip on what the general consensus, the general population, the great unwashed, me and you, what we want. We want the asylum seekers gone, the economic migrants. Let's be specific. The economic migrants gone and knife crime stopped, even if they've got to put the army on the streets and point the guns and tell people, put it down or we'll shoot you. It's happened before. Churchill turned the guns, when he was a Liberal, he turned the guns on the people of this sceptred isle. So here, Starmer the Harmer. Get a grip, mind you. Ginger Growler probably already has. Neil Cunningham's a place of worship. Oh, I say, Neil. And everyone's facing me. Dan Brooker, the Kirk. Oh, right, church equals Kirk. Right, got it. Mad Matt UK, great guy, Adrian. The Kirk is All Hallows Church of St. Battenberg in the Wealds. The Wolds. Nice place, Cotswolds. Karina Jane's in the body of the Kirk this evening. Welcome, Karina. Hi, Adrian and all. Karen Bull! I'm here. Sorry I'm late. I hope I haven't missed much. Never. The first 10 minutes is just, you and I interacting. Where's Des Ashton? Oh, there he pops up. Not a first, Des. Good evening, you utter wrong'uns. AA under the new roof in Westminster Hall. It did burn down in the past. Yeah, it did. I didn't set anything away today. It was quite warm in there, so I didn't need a fire. But it is just such a beautiful place. I mean, I know, royalty have laid in rest. We've had TV presenters, as I mentioned in the video, jump queues. Yeah, unwise but not illegal. Is Scof back on the telly yet? Is he coming back on the telly? Only on a Thursday. Depends what they're up to in that flat. And Holly, the pair of them, she's coming back with, can you remember? Now, this is off the top of my head. It's in the back of the recesses of my mind. And it's You Bet. Can you remember that when Brucey Baby presented it? You Bet. Yeah, she's coming back, fronting that. Des Ashton, Gareth Henshaw. Sorry, Des. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. There might be a space at the front if you're quick about it, and bring your Battenberg with you. Did I tell you about Katie Price and that picture, and somebody paying her 10 grand to do what they did in that hotel, which is where we get the Battenberg references from? I do hope that they had a Battenberg the day before. Genuine, 10 grand. Now, I don't know whether it's an old story or a new story, or whether she's just put it out there because the courts have gone, here, how much are you making from TikTok? About 70 grand. Right, well, have that, you're wrong. Have you just paid 10 grand for another facelift? Jesus, any more facelifts, your belly button will be your nose. Did I say that correct? Andy Turner said, You Bet was Matthew Kelly. That might have been your favourite, Andy. Can I remember? Yeah, I can a bit. Gareth Henshaw, remember Matthew Kelly. Gareth Henshaw says, I remember it when Matthew Kelly presented it. Maybe it was Matthew. Maybe ITV should bring Matthew back. But Holly Boobies, she's, both of her, presenting it. So it looks like she's not going to the BBC. Looks like young Phil is not going to partner her. Andrew James says, a day to do the Krypton Factor. Can you imagine me on the Krypton Factor? Give us half an hour. That's the length of the programme. Yeah, but that's half an hour to do the assault course. Mind you, I don't mind assaulting people. I'm not a man for violence, but if it's telly and it's entertainment. I wonder who I could do MMA with. Put me in the octagon with somebody. Don't need gloves, bare knuckle. My granddad went on the cobbles, bare knuckle, all comers, so he could feed his family. So that, my dad was a bit tasty as well. Gareth Henshaw says, the one which should come back, Interceptor. Do I remember that? Talk of 69's in the body of the Kirk this evening, everyone. Evening, Adrian, all you utter wrong-uns. Fight Ken Shamrock. Ooh. Ken was a bit tasty. Ken Shamrock was a bit tasty in the early days. I was watching MMA and the UFC from like the beginning, from before Dana White had it, when it was brutal. And Ken Shamrock was some boy. I tell you, he's a bit tasty. No, I don't think I'd take him on. Mind you, is he older than me? Yeah, he's probably older than me. Some of the early days, the early boys who kind of gave MMA and the UFC a bit of cachet. Sorry, I was just space. Oh, sorry. So yes, I used to watch it. I remember it was always the Gracie brothers that used to win. They used to just take them to the ground and submit them, and it was like, no, can you not do a bit of stand up, like break somebody's nose or something? And Conor McGregor, he's trained in the early days. He's trained with some of my ninja buddies from Dublin, who I love to bits. So there's kind of, would I do it? Depends on the money. Show me the money. Bad Wolf Project says Space 1999 with Catherine Bach. Oh, hello, nurse, the curtains. Mad Matt says, Adrian, did you both enjoy your holiday? Yeah, it was fabby. Well, I am going to reference that in regards to the Sicily boat tragedy, because obviously I kind of know that bit of coast. Palermo is, along with Catania and Palermo, they're the main airports that people fly into, and so I know a little bit. So yeah, I am going to reference it in just a little while. As I say, for people just getting their feet under the table, tonight we're going to identify this week's devil in disguise. We're going to talk about Starmer the Harmer. We're going to do my questions, your answers, and of course, bit of showbiz, bit of royalty, and the clowns. Oh, I say, we're going to do to them what they've been doing to us for 6 weeks. Touch your toes, you wrong'un. Uh, Dan Brooker, some of my ninja buddies. Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether can you see it? I've got my one of my ninja certificates on the wall behind me. Des Ashton, such a shame. It was a beautiful boat. I agree, Des. But, well, let me just talk about it, and we'll kind of get to it, because I'm not totally believing everything in the press. Gareth Henshaw says, Annabelle Croft presented it. It was like Treasure Hunt, but with a twist. Oh, of course, The Interceptor. Sean O'Kane tried to stop contestants winning 1,000 by zapping their backpacks. Oh, yeah. Randy Couture, UFC from What About the Water Bottle Waddle? The natural Randy Couture. Oh, I should do some stuff. Tina Silver, Schofield can host It's a Knockout. Only on a Thursday, Tina. Remember, Thursday's unwise but not illegal. Fort Boyard, Takeshi's Castle, and the Crystal Maze. What about Ninja Warrior? I definitely do Ninja Warrior. I might waddle a bit, and I might be a bit slow, but it's all about the dog and the fight, not the fight. Sorry, it's all about the fight and the dog, not the dog and the fight. Andy Turner, yeah, we've done that. Mad Matt, no problems. Andy H, play up, and it's your turn in the barrel. Oh, I say, Andy. Rusty Mouse, remember it as water bottle whittle. Must be code for something. And Dan Brugger, yeah, my half-brother's dad was also a ninja. As a kid, I didn't understand the meaning of that. Well, ninjas normally would get you to kill yourself. They don't kill you. They just get you to kill yourself. And I simply love my ninja family, my ninja buddies, and all the... it's just such a I mean, anybody that's got kids or grandkids and want them to... So the point of life, just a little... I said I'd go deep tonight. Life is all about finding out who you are. And martial arts, whether it's sport or the arts, and there's only two arts, jiu-jitsu and ninjutsu. So anything that ends in a do, karate do, judo, they're sports. Anything that ends in a tsu is an art, a warrior art. And ninjutsu is a warrior art. Why do I say that? Who's dead? It's an art because we teach the kids to take up musical instruments. There are 8 gates of enlightenment. There are 9 schools. It's a lifelong endeavor. But anybody that gets their little ones or their grandchildren into the martial arts of or sport or taekwondo or anything, it's wonderful for them. It gives them a sense of self, and I firmly believe that everyone should take up a martial art. Ninjutsu is mine, by the way, so it's empty-handed. It's all the weapons. I can teach you how to kill somebody with a credit card. Spend lots. There's lots of fun within the art itself, and it's the camaraderie, and it's everything. It's everything. So, evening to everybody in the BBD, the Bajink and Brian Dojo. I'm still a student of Brian McCarthy, who's a wonderful man. One of the best teachers in the world. And I'm still a disciple, and I'm still a student. And well, that's all I'm going to say about the martial arts and ninjutsu, because I do love it. Didn't even know that we weren't full brothers until about 30. Thank you, Dad. Nicholas, read the Last Testament of Gideon Mack. Oh, I say. J7 rewires, I like Aikido. Beautiful movement in Aikido. It's kind of energy, using a person's energy against themselves. Love it. Have you read Angry White Pajamas? Loved that book about a guy that went to Japan and trained in Aikido, and it was brutal, but just one of my favourite martial arts books. PT Ham, evening, Adrian. Yeah, wronging on all you wrongins. Remember Michael Bentley's potty time. Oh, baby. Neil Cunningham, I like IKEA. Oh, yeah, but IKEA furniture fights back. Capoeira from Brazil. Yeah, capoeira is fabulous. I mean, they kind of put it into a dance so that it wasn't a martial art, so it wasn't seen as brutal. Because you know how... Okay, quick 10 seconds. So the reason why the martial ways split from the arts went underground, and everything else became sports, because in the 1867 Meiji Restoration, the emperor says that the martial ways were barbaric. So they had to evolve and they had to become something else. So a lot of the martial ways became the sports, and the barbaric stuff kind of just disappeared, except ninjutsu, they went underground. The families in the mountains went, here, what, mate? No, don't be silly. So they didn't. Bad Wolf Project. My wife once killed a circus with a credit card. She went for the juggler. Very good. Dan Brooker, African rhythm and dance with martial arts. Love it. Love it. So there's my quick lesson on the Emperor of Japan, the Meiji Restoration in 1867, 1868, where the martial ways had to, sort itself out. It's barbaric. But we have some techniques within ninjutsu where a close protection officer, if you will, used to sit with the emperor. And because obviously people would try and assassinate the emperor, there are techniques that I'm trained in, and the BBD have trained in, where you just sit very demure beside the emperor, and if anybody tries to have a go at the emperor, woof, katana out, woof, done. But it has to be done in a very non-barbaric way, because the emperor wouldn't like it. It's the emperor. It's like, King Charles, protecting Prince Charles. You can't, mind you, it's like protecting Donald Trump. Those clowns. Hapkido, Krav Maga, whiz-bits. Krav Maga from Israel. The Special Forces Krav Maga is brutal. I've done a little bit, but yeah, love it, love it, love it. Where does ninjutsu come from? Shaolin monks, Tibet. It's kind of Chinese. A lot of things in Japan are Chinese, but the Yamabushi, which were kind of wandering monks, used to have this art, but they were Chinese, the Yamabushi, and so they were wandering monks, and they kind of taught stuff. It's like, all the information that's passed on, and there were specialist families in the mountains in Japan who would specialize in maybe intelligence or reconnaissance or assassination or I love the word for female ninja. The word for female ninja is kunoichi, and kunoichi in Japanese means deadly flower. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So there were female ninja, but people can say, no, there was female ninja. They were called kunoichi, and they were more deadly than the males, let me tell you. But sometimes where is it? Maybe on the next live, I'll show you my ninja mask. And so the ninjas used to travel as kind of like a circus, like an entertaining circus. And they used to go into town to try and find who they needed to assassinate. And do you know how they got paid? This is back in the day. This is feudal Japan. So they would be hired to assassinate someone. And they would go and assassinate someone, chop the head off, bring the head back. And the people that had commandeered them to go and assassinate the person used to sit around. The head was put in the middle, and they would all go, is that it's a bit bloody. Can you not give his face a wash so we can recognise him? Is that there? Oh, that's him. Right, here's your money. Matt the Boshi sounds like the name of my TV. Correct, Andy. Des Ashton says it looks like a rusty sheriff's badge. Rusty bullet hole. Des. Neil Cunningham, my ex-wife must have been a female ninja because her flower smelled. Oh, dear God, Neil. Right. Let's get into it. Next live, because you distracted me. Remember, tonight I'm going to identify this week's Devil in Disguise. We're going to do Starmer the Harmer, my questions, your answers, Showbiz, royalty, and the clowns are going to be let out. Grim times back then. Pennine County. Oh, yes, you only get paid if you brought the head back. I mean, you don't want to bring the whole body back. You don't have to carry that on your shoulder. Just hack the head off, take it back. I mean, it's business. I mean, it's worse today than it was back then. Blimey. upset people. You could either be run off the road and knocked over by a car, or you could end up dead in the bottom of a 50-metre sea just off Sicily. Amalia Grassi, what was that 70s show with the wandering martial arts monk? Loved it. Kung Fu with David Carradine. I mean, no, not Monkey. It was Kung Fu. Monkey was the Japanese thing, where it was like the Magnificent Seven, but it was Monkey, if that was the title. But Kung Fu was David Carradine, which was, I mean, back in the 70s, it was just the biggest thing on the telly. And if you look at it now, you go, blimey, this is a bit slow. Speed up a bit. Bruce Lee should have starred in it. Well, yes, but I think there was a reason why he didn't. They wanted an unknown, because it would have been all about sad end for Mr. Carradine. What was that, Pennine Counties? I can't remember. I know he's not around anymore, but was it cancer? I can't remember. Tom Harneys. Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late. I'll just squeeze in at the back. Not a first for you, Tom. You're wrong. Dan Brugger, Adrian is like my old geography teacher. Ask a question and revel in the journey of the tangent. Oh, Dan, I do say. Rather deep. Alan says Bruce could fight, but he couldn't act. A bit of both, Alan. I think he's starting to improve. There is that story of him fighting someone, and I think Quentin Tarantino tried to use the story in Hollywood thingy, whatever it was called. But I mean, he looked magnificent. Just looked. I mean, what a specimen that boy was, Bruce Lee. But he's that 1-inch punch. I've seen him deliver it. Andrew James, be honest, the biggest thing on the telly back then was Daisy Duke. Hang on, I might need 30 seconds to compose myself again. And Charlie's Angels. Tablock Tracy, there is more room up my rear. You're utter wrong. I thought you were giving out free Battenberg earlier. So the next line's going to be this Sunday. It is a bank holiday weekend, so I do appreciate it if you're off travelling. But I mean, who would want to be in the car on a bank holiday weekend? It must be purgatory. So the next live is this coming Sunday, 8 o'clock, of course, Sunday the 25th of August, bank holiday weekend. The circus is coming back to town in 2 weeks. Yep, Parliament reconvenes 3rd of September. Oh, I say. So 8 weeks that have been in power before the kickoff. I mean, the thing is, though, can you imagine little rich boy? I mean, he's cockeyed, but then again, he's the same height as roughly about Keir Starmer. So if you meet Starmer the Harmer, you look at him and go, "Hello, what are you doing down there?" Mind you, Bojo the clown, he was exactly the same, didn't he? He's like 3'6". It looks completely different on the telly. Biggest thing on our TV was a vase of flowers. Brilliant, the old Bovril. Big butts and I cannot lie. Oh, don't. Big butts and I cannot lie. Baby's Got Back by, and I've got this. I mean, bizarrely, I played it on the radio, like commercial radio, back in the 80s, and nobody ever said, oi, what are you doing playing that? That's filth. But, who did it, man? I like big butts and I cannot lie. Oh, somebody's going to have to tell me. Sir Mix-a-Lot. Thank you, Luke. Thank you. I hate it when somebody else knows more than me with music. Thank you, Gareth. Sir Mix-a-Lot. What a tune that is. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look for Sir Mix-a-Lot on Spotify or any of the streaming services. And don't play it in front of your kids. Telly makes everything look bigger, except Chris Evans' ego. Yeah, I agree with that. Karina Jane, last time I watched your show, you mentioned Eddie Shoestring. Oh, yeah. I used to watch it in the 80s with my nan. He had another show called Waking the Dead too. Did he? Did he keep his moustache? Eddie Shoestring. Late night phone-in guy. And private detective. Stuart, you other brothers can't deny. Wonderful. I'd rather have Bojo than Barmy Starmy or Fishy Rishi, says Peter Sadler. So, legendary Battenbergers this evening. I think, let me just get back to the very beginning, because it doesn't tell me. Does it tell me? No, it doesn't. Oh, bugger. So, thank you to Rich. Thank you for your continued support, Rich. and it was Millie. Thank you, Millie. Now, my voice is a little thin this evening because it's been in air conditioning all day. Doesn't like it. Just doesn't like it. We'll start off with, as I say, we're going to get to Starmer the Harmer, the devil in disguise. I literally, I had to walk out of my French Kiss. Andy Turner, French Kiss. Little Louis, wasn't it? French Kiss? Brian Ravenscroft, been watching the Tomorrow People on YouTube, 70s retro. Tomorrow People, remember that? When I was a kid, it was wonderful. It was brilliant. Love a bit of daring do and heroism. Tomorrow People was really cool. And the champions, Alexandra Bastido in the champions. I mean, how I managed to stay level-headed watching Alexandra Bastido on TV. The champions, they were like, they had a plane crash in Tibet, and they had all these superpowers. They could jump the height of buildings, and I mean, the guys were good-looking guys, so I'm told. One of them was, he ended up doing like a really middle-of-the-road BBC thing when he got a little older. But when he was the American guy who was a singer, but Alexander Bastido, I can't. Pennine County's babe she was. Alan, woof, 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 woof. Blimey. I'm with you, Alan, completely. And Gareth Henshaw, Ace of Wands. I think Foggy Brian Wilde is in it as well. Oh, that was... Can you remember? They were... the champions were based in Switzerland. Now, you know me and me conspiracy theories about Switzerland. William Gaunt, that was it. Thank you, Des. William Gaunt. Amalia, you're asking all these questions, and I love them. Amalia said, the movie where you had to kill yourself at 30 with a button on your hand, Jenny Agutter, 70s, wasn't that Logan's Run, where you got to 30 and they're just killing everybody off, and then they found that the One World Order was a bunch of old blokes behind a screen. Jenny Agutter. Nemesis, Geneva, yeah, Switzerland. Geneva's in Switzerland, isn't it? Logan's Run, Gary Cox, yeah, everybody's saying Logan's Run. Alan, loved Jenny, what a babe. Alan, from what you're saying tonight, if it was female, you loved it. You're wrong. Logan's Run, terrifying. I think the premise of Logan's Run was, I mean, killing you off at 30. I remember looking back at my 30s thinking, well, it's your kinky 30s, isn't it? You get through your teens and you're a bit mad and your hormones are all over the place. You get into your 20s and you know absolutely bugger all. And then you get into your 30s, it's like, oh, hang on a second, this is going a bit fast. And you kind of get into the, well, I'm bored doing that, what can I do next? It's all right, you don't need to comment on it. We've all been through our 30s. But can you imagine at 30 going, no more? I mean... So that concept of you being kicked off at 30-year-old, because Logan's Run, didn't they get out? They had to get out of the city or something. Oh, Des understands it. You had to do Carousel when you got to 30 or the Sandman came to get you. We're all going to be having bloody nightmares tonight, man. Pennine Counties, yes, 30s, like the Royal Oak in Ramsbottom. Swingers pub, by any chance? So anyway, let's move on from that. I want to get deep. Just don't bend over in front of me. I want to start with the Omega Man. Do I? Westworld, Yul Brynner, Bad Wolf Project, Westworld, the new version of Westworld. That I think it's up to series 3. I mean, they could have gone on for years, but I'm not sure, unless they're having to put more money into it for special effects. But the new, I love Yul Brynner in Westworld, but the new version of Westworld from obviously America is just breathtaking. And who's the English actress? Can't remember. Remember Midnight Caller? I used it as my CB handle. Andy, Midnight Caller, brilliant. Well, I'm a late night phone-in guy. Obviously I remember Midnight Caller. Hang on, what's PD Yam done? You dirty devil. Hang on, I must have missed it then. Omega Man, Charlton Heston. Hang on a second. Nicholas says, I beg you, after the live, listen to Baby's Got Back by Richard Cheese. Never heard that, Nicholas. Please, it's right up your street. Don't be saying it's up my avenue. Not with the Battenberg flying around. Amali couldn't get into Westworld. Omega Man remade as I Am Legend with what's his face? Take my wife's name out of your mouth. Here, off, mate. I'm presenting the Oscars, man. Can you imagine being such a cook, and that's not with a double O before you start, that some guy comes up and whacks you in the face and says, take my wife's name out your mouth. Can you imagine? I mean, I've been in pub fights where less has kicked off that. I've been in proper cowboy fights in pubs, and somebody saying less than that has kicked the whole place off. Tandy Newton, Tower Block Tracy, thank you. Tandy Newton. Do you mind if I just hold that for half an hour? Nicholas, I'll tweet you a link. Thank you very much. Right. Stop this, because I did say that I was only going to do maybe 90 minutes or 2 hours at a maximum tonight, and already I'm running over time. So, Jackie Chan. Hang on. Adrian, speaking of Battenberg, did Mr. Kipling get back to you? No, they didn't. Tightwads. I'll have to send them another one. Mind you, if I tell them what it's about, do you think? I mean, I haven't, but if I do, I very much doubt they're going to sponsor the channel. But you never know. You never know. They might think, oh, it's good advertising. Karen Booth says he was tied up on his own. Wink, wink, say no more. Cool, blimey. Karen, we've gone kinky already. We're only in half an hour. So, Jay Slater's mum, you know, the poor boy that died in Tenerife. I've been looking at Rusty Mouse. We could all meet up for a fantastic party, couldn't we? Oh, can you imagine this lot? I mean, we'd all get a bit squiffy. We'd all get chucked out the pub. Then where would we go? Trash somewhere. Planet of the Apes. Love a bit of Kipling. I'm sure you do, Alan. We have thought about that, but we thought about North and South meetups because, Stuart, I'm dying to hear what they say. There's a gag there somewhere, Stuart. So, yeah, we were thinking about North and South. Can't get up there. We could have done Scotland, but we're thinking North and South, so we could just have a few sherbets and put faces to names and stuff. Thank you, Nicholas. Got it. There's Ashton. I don't know. I've never kibbled. So let's talk about Jay Slater's mum, Debbie, because this week in the newspapers there's been 10 pages of reportage in the Sun. So the Sun have obviously paid big money. Hang on. I'm being distracted by Karen Boog. Not quite sure what's going on in the comments, but I'll let you play. The moderators will look after you. Tower Block Tracy, that is the funniest comment we've had tonight. Tower Block Tracy says, could we have a meetup in the Lamley? I would. I'm game if you are. Can you imagine if it kicked off? It wouldn't kick off. We're all decent people. We wouldn't do that, but that's proper funny, Tower Block Tracy. Proper. Hang on, what's going on there? My computer suddenly just decided to do something. Fuck off. Oh, sorry, figure. Go away. Go. Literally. Yeah. Foxtrot Oscar. Sorry. Potty mouth. Reverend. That's why it's the Irreverend Reverend. So I want to talk about Jay Slater's mum, Debbie. I'm going to ask you a question. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but is it all about the money? Because there's 70 odd grand in the 70 odd grand in the GoFundMe, and 2 days straight this week, Monday and Tuesday, the Sun were running interviews with her. There was like 4 pages one day, or was it 6 pages, and then there was another 2 or 3 the day after. And I suddenly thought, Peter Sadler, do a live in the Lamley. You all would come along, wouldn't you, if I did a live in the Lamley? Can you imagine? Honestly, if I laugh any harder, I'm going to burst my incontinence pants. Alan, how much are the Sun paying her? Well, that was my question. And I'm going to qualify it, because you can't just kind of point the finger and accuse somebody when you don't know the full story. But I just thought, well, hang on a second. The Sun is doing all this reportage this week. Why? And they're interviewing Debbie, Jay's mum. Now, look, losing a child is not the natural way. Parents, this may sound very callous, and it's not meant to be, but the natural way of things is that parents should go before the children. And losing a child is tough enough, bad enough for anybody. But in these circumstances where people are asking questions, I don't. So the GoFundMe, and if you read behind the words that are being said and being reported, she keeps saying, this is the mum, and on the one hand I do feel sorry for her losing her son in these circumstances, and in the glare of media, traditional media, worldwide media. So I do feel sorry for Debbie. But on the other hand, I'm looking at the GoFundMe, and the sole beneficiary is Debbie. It's there on the GoFundMe page. The sole beneficiary is Debbie. So she's said in part of the interview that the money has helped the repatriation of Jay back to England, and there's a picture of his grave. And I get all that. But where's the money going? As I say, no parent should bury their child. None, under any circumstances. Awful, awful, awful. But where's the money going? She's saying, oh, it's paid for a dog tracker unit. Wasn't the dog that found it, though, was it? It wasn't Jay's. Gareth Henshaw, breaking news. Journalist Richard Medhurst arrested under Section 12 of the Terrorism Act. We'll get to that. Where's my pen gone? I'll make a prediction. If these clowns come back and start arresting more people, journalist arrested under Section 12 of the Terrorism Act, we're going to have civil unrest on these streets. And it doesn't matter what Starmer says or does. And look, I am not suggesting that we do. I'm suggesting that the people are fed up. I mean, it would have been, look, he had a shoe-in. He's got a majority. And Starmer isn't a president. He's the leader of the Parliamentary Labour Party. He is not president. So therefore, he should not be dictating, because he's not a president. But it would have been the easiest thing in the world to drag this country back onto its feet. The source is Kerno Damo on YouTube. Interesting. I wonder what his or her source is. Adrian, burying your child has happened for centuries for all sorts of things, but it's still awful and devastating, of course. I agree with you, Rusty Mouse. So that there has to be empathy and compassion for Debbie. But, you know, time immemorial, people get involved with the mainstream media and they get all this coverage, and it's worldwide in this particular case with Jay and his mum and his family. And, when that attention stops, it's something that people find very difficult, because all of a sudden this attention's been thrust on them. I don't know whether this is the case in Debbie's case, but there's an element of surety in this. You get all this attention thrust on you because you're getting all this attention. When it disappears, there's a longing for it. My word, not anybody else's. But so there may be an element of that to this story, that Debbie's given her interview, and I'm sure there's tens of thousands in this for them, tens of thousands. If that gives her some kind of succor, if that gives her some kind of comfort, if that helps her deal with the loss of her child, then so be it. But you can't then go in the media and start saying it's not about the money. And she's saying, oh, I didn't set up the GoFundMe. I know you didn't, but you're the sole beneficiary. So why aren't you saying, look, yes, transparency. If Alex Belfield had done this, if he'd been transparent through all of it, he might not be in the position that he's in. Because I would suggest that over £1 million went through his hands. Alex Belfield. Easily. But he was saying one thing when the reality was something completely different, in my view. Now with Debbie, GoFundMe was set up by somewhere else. By someone else. It was his other pal that went out there to help with the parties, shall we say. And Tablock Tracy, that's even funnier. Crowdfunder to buy the Lamley and rename it the Battenberg or the Little Wrong'un. Sorry, or the Utter Wrong'un. Brilliant. So that being said, Debbie, I would suggest, needs to be a little bit more cautious. Because when there's a lot of money floating around, people do weird things with money. People do weird things being in the public eye. So the question I have, did the Foreign Office pay for Jay's repatriation? Did the Foreign Office pay for Jay to be brought back to this country? Who paid that? And it would make common sense for Debbie to get people off her back. I mean, she's complaining about trolls and she's complaining about people having a go at her in the press. Maybe they should turn around and say, okay, or she should say, I get that. But look, it's cost us X amount to get Jay back to this country and buried. It's costing X amount to get the dog unit to come and search. And there was accommodation costs. So actually, the £70,000, although it was a big help, the cost of everything was near 100,000. Now, people would understand that. They would understand that. There are evil and nasty people who would just have a go for having a go's sake, irrespective of what the truth was. But there's stuff here to read between the lines, and they're like any news story. Like when I started this channel off, people were pointing the finger at me, and I just went, there you go, there's the truth. Because the truth doesn't cost anything, and you can't do anything against the truth, because the truth is the truth. So if it's only cost 35 grand for the repatriation and the dog unit to come out for a day or two, it would make sense for her to say, look, it costs 30 grand, there's 40 grand there, we're going to give it away to some charities. We've got this charity, that charity, or that charity. None of that's happened. The money, normally, the mainstream media, the Sun in this case, would say, Debbie wasn't paid for this interview, or we've donated to charity for missing persons, or something. But there isn't any of that. So I'm reading between the lines going, how much? Are you thinking exactly the same? I mean, it's a bit like Kate Garraway. Every 5 minutes, Kate Garraway's like, oh, I miss Derek, I miss Derek, I miss Derek. I get that. Look, I've lost somebody very close to me recently. And, there are days where, and I don't want to necessarily bring this here, but there are days where sometimes the emotion just comes up and you think, oh, struggle. But in time, that lessens. That's understandable if you've been through any kind of loss. But maybe Debbie needed to go away and grieve the loss of her son before giving any of these interviews. I'm sure the son would have waited. Kathy Harper says, thought the searchers said they hadn't received any money. Interesting. Bad Wolf Project. Hodder and Staunton Books approached Debbie Duncan about a book. What? What's she going to say? Other than what's already been in the mainstream media. Neil Cunningham, the government wouldn't pay for Jay to be flown home. He's not a mosque. Interesting point, Neil. Pauline Makepeace. She was saying all that in the live interview with the Sun. And Stuart says she even got rid of social media because of the trolling. Look, as I say, it's an awful, horrible place to be where you're burying your child. Awful. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But you dance with the devil. The mainstream media, you can't dance with them because they will crucify you. The Sun have been making money from the interest of the story. Of course, Martin. Of course, people want to read about it. I mean, I read it, but I just, this is a really delicate place that Debbie finds herself in, and it can turn a lot of people, even the most sane. If you're getting that kind of attention, it does weird things to you. Look, I've been in the media for 40 years. I kind of get it because I've seen. Thankfully, I've got my both feet on the ground, but I've seen it affect people big time. I've seen people get into recreational gear because of it. Andy Turner says, "I miss my missus. She passed away in 2019. Still do. Of course, Andy. Of course." Bereavement and grief is a weird thing because, well, those that go on to wherever we go on to, and that's another conversation for another night. But Jay Slater's mum, if I was Debbie, I would leave it now and stay away from the media, stay away from social media. Give it 18 months and everybody will have forgotten. But some of the Ria Odell have missed most of tonight's live. Have we discussed Sicily Super Yacht? Not yet. We are going to do that, Ria. So my question to you is, do you think that this is all about the Benjamins? Is it all about the money? Or is it just someone grieving for their child and might not be... I do hope she's getting good advice. Stay away from the media, stay away from mainstream media, stay away from legacy media, don't give any more interviews, just allow your grief and deal with the passing of your child. Let's get on to the Sicilian yacht. As I say, you know that I was in Sicily for 12 days recently, and I've been to Sicily many times and I love it. I just simply adore the place. The food, the people, it's beautiful. It was bloody hot. I mean, 35 degrees every day. It was just insane. Andy, you're wrong. He says to Ria Odell, no, he's been waffling. All the world's a critic. Peter Sadler, she might be easily led by the press. I agree, Peter. That's what they do to get the story. If they feel that the story is worthwhile, that people are interested, and they can give somebody who, and I'm not suggesting that this is in Debbie's case, we'll give them $5,000. $5,000's a lot of money to somebody like that, so we'll give them $5,000. As where somebody else who knows what's what, knows what the deal is, they'd have to cough up $100,000. That has been known. Big stories, $100,000. But the Sun's losing so much money. I'm not sure that it's going to keep going for much longer, because the last time I looked, it was losing about 50 million a year. 50 million. So let's leave that. Marge Reed makes a very, very good point. I'm not sure Debbie owes us an explanation. The GoFundMe was a gift. I do agree. Stay away from the media. Toxic. Thank you, Marge. And a very good point. But there also needs to be, I think, an element of, because people have given for a reason. So, and it was to search and repatriate Jay. So let's hope that the money And she keeps saying, well, I'm in contact with GoFundMe people all the time. Don't need to. Everybody knows what the money was raised for, and she's the sole beneficiary. Yeah, the moderator says, there's a friendly reminder to please like the video, and if you're not subscribed, then subscribe to the channel. Tar muchly. So smash the likes before we get any further in. There's 175 people watching this, and 53 likes. Tough audience. The Uber, the son is in the payroll of the government. Of course they are. So you know how this works, don't you? A bit like with a jibber jabber and Charlie 19. You know how that worked, don't you? So the government took advertising out in the newspaper for lots of money. Lots and lots and lots of money. So in essence, the newspaper is being bought off. I'm not suggesting it was the Sun, it was all of them. All of them that carry advertising. Teflon Guan, Adrian and chat evening. Blimey. Slow off the mark, Teflon. Rusty Mouse media do not tell the truth. Of course they don't. That's why people are going to social media. They've had enough of the traditional media. But how it worked with the government used your taxes to convince you to take the jibber jabber, not anybody else's money. When they're saying the government's spending money, it's not their money, it's your taxes and national insurance that they're spending. Trusted News Initiative from Top of 69 and Napoleon Blown Apart. Thanks for the reminder. Thank you, Napoleon Blown Apart. So it's their money, sorry, your money that they are spending. So they would go to the newspapers and they would take advertising, daily, weekly, monthly, for hundreds of thousands of pounds. So if, say, one newspaper, for example, The Sun, the Super Soarway, losing 50 million a year, but the government could give them 10 million or 15 million or 20 million in advertising over a particular year. That's a big chunk of the loss gone. So that's why they took the advertising. That's how the game works. That's how government works. They use your taxes to suit their agenda. So let's get to the Sicilian yacht. As I say, I've been to Sicily many times and love it. I love everything about Sicily. People, culture, food, weather. I mean, the first time we went there, it was chucking it down. Chucking it down. Evening exactly that. And so I've been to the beaches around Palermo and the northwest, Trapani, Palermo. So if you imagine Sicily, I've done the southeast of the island, done up the east coast with Etna. I've actually been up Etna, so to speak. No monkey gouge, you're wrong. Stood on Mount Etna while it's been kicking off, and Catania is wonderful and beautiful. We had some Sicilian friends at our wedding, and it's just magnificent. And I can from personal experience, I can tell you that the seas are around, and it's not the Mediterranean. I can't remember what the seas are around Sicily, but it's not the Mediterranean. There are specific seas around Sicily, and the seas around Sicily are azure blue. Beautiful. I mean, breathtaking. It's like you look at it and you think, oh, I say, it's like a postcard. And it's just breathtaking. But I do say many times, because my dad was a merchant seaman, man and boy, from being 14, and he always used to caution me, always respect the sea. And it doesn't matter how much money you've got, always respect the sea. So if you look at the Titan sub, I mean, what on earth did they think they were doing? And then you get to, if you go to any beach on Sicily, you can see some humongous yachts just moored off at anchor, not that far from shore. And I mean, not this yacht that went down comparatively is just a little dinghy compared to some of the massive hundreds of millions of pounds worth of money sailing around, bobbing around on the azure seas around Sicily, because I've seen them with my own eyes. So the latest is that they have they've recovered 4 more bodies today. They've not identified them in the media, but it's 4 more bodies. 2 are still missing. Now, 50 meters doesn't necessarily sound much, but it's enough. And the divers are saying that the super yacht is lying on its side with its mast intact. Now it's Peter Sadler, according to Wikipedia, Sicily is in the central Mediterranean Sea. No, not all of it. Some of it is sorry, Peter, I don't have it in front of me. We did the research while we were away because we thought it was the Mediterranean, and it's not. I think it begins with a T. I'm not too sure. But part of Sicily is, different parts of it are in different seas. Dan Brooker says, grandmother from the north of Italy said the south, the crazy mafia and such, which is saying something, as my nana was a lunatic, bless her soul. Call blimey English bottle cap. Also Ionian and Tyrrhenian, see if I've pronounced that correctly. It's all very beautiful. That's why, there's a lot of yachts sailing around Sicily. As I say, the East Coast, Catania, from Catania up to Etna. They make amazing wines on Etna. Amazing. Hang on. The origin of the name Sicily is obscure. It derives from the Greek Sic, meaning island of fertility. Its ancient name, Trinacria, possibly, refers to the triangular shape of the island. Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like Trapani, where I was recently. That's kind of up left northwest. So it goes from the thick end with Etna and Siracusa at the bottom and Catania in between. All of it. Some of the best beaches are on the southern part of the island. It has amazing vineries and hotels and places. If you've never holidayed in Sicily, please do. You will never regret it. Never. Ionian is to the west and Tyrrhenian to the north. Thank you, English bottle cap. Thank you, Whizbits. Tyrrhenian Sea and located to the west-southwest of southern Calabria. So it is a beautiful place, and a lot of people do sail there. Some very famous and wealthy people, they can sail around the boot of Italy and around Sicily and to some of the other Mediterranean islands. But it feels, I don't know whether this is because of March 2020 and the jibber japper and Charlie 19 and lockdowns and stuff, and the Caspian Sea from Narnia, Dan Brugger. Caspian Sea, it's all about the oil and the gas, big lad. So I don't know whether it's that we're just cynical old tarts. When we're told stuff, we immediately just question it as to whether it could be true, whether the media are telling us the truth. I mean, if you look at the Titan sub, nothing's come of that. No investigation, nothing. And yet it was the biggest news story in the newspapers around the world. That week it was massive. And so's this, the Sicilian yacht. I'm not going to name it. But something is very odd about this. The timing along with... so I'm going to ask you, because it's... So let me give you some background, some context. So there was a British software company sold to Hewlett Packard for 11.1 billion. And Hewlett Packard alleged that Mike Lynch, the founder of this company, and Stephen Chamberlain, the chief finance officer, they accused them of artificially inflating the company's worth that they bought by fraudulent means, which is why they were taken to court, which is why they were sued for 8.1 billion. Hewlett Packard believed there was a disparity of billions. They bought it in good faith with due diligence, but once they got in there, they said in their lawsuit that the company was artificially inflated due to fraudulent means, which is why the court case was ongoing. This was quite a long court case, and it only recently was found with both Mike Lynch and Stephen Chamberlain as innocent. Innocent in the UK. I think they were found guilty for something in America, but it was autonomy. Thank you. So Mike Lynch and Stephen Chamberlain were found innocent, and I think there was 10 crew and 15 paying guests on this super yacht, and a lot of the crew got off. Caveat emptor, yeah, buyer beware, Des. And this summer, from what my Sicilian friends are saying, that Sicily is struggling with heat this summer. And look, we're from Blighty. I mean, we barely get a sunny day. It's mostly raining. That's why, the Scots are ginger. It's not ginger, it's rust, because it rains all the time. The poor Welsh, I've lived in South Wales for a while, and that's why it's called the green grass of home, because it bloody rains all the time. And here in Blighty, if you go to Manchester, rains all the time. But Sicily this summer, the locals are saying that they're having problems with water. They don't have enough water. Bad Wolf Project, thank you. BBC now reporting divers find 5 bodies in wreck of a Sicilian yacht. So I'm not sure if they've found 5 bodies or whether they've recovered 5 bodies. I know that before I came on air, 4 bodies had been recovered today, and there was 6 missing. So maybe they've recovered 5 and there's still 1 missing. But my Sicilian friends are telling me that Sicily this year has been particularly searing with heat. I mean, 35 degrees in August, which is their holiday time, a bit like here. They just don't have the water. Sicily struggling with heat, which and I can attest. Whilst I was there for 12 days, 11 nights, 12 days, there was not a single drop of rain. It was searing heat, and when you went into the sea and travelled around the beaches just to see which one was, whether it was Trapani or San Vito up in the north, kind of round the cove from Palermo Airport. Whenever you walked into the sea, it was just like walking into a warm bath. That's the sea. Now, I know from the northeast of England, don't matter how much the North Sea, how much sunshine it gets or how much heat it gets, it's bloody freezing the whole year round. But Sicily this year, the sea felt amazing. You could, and all the beaches, it's a really shallow shelf, the beaches. So it goes out very slightly. It doesn't drop. So all of a sudden you're in 50 meters worth of water. But the shelves on the beaches are very gentle, the slope. So most people on the beaches that I was on will just go out and stand in the water up to their waist just to cool down, get out the sun. But what that also does is the heat and the weather creates difficulties at sea. The Wool Bovril says the sea around Borneo is like a warm bath. That's because the sun, hot sun, is on the water all the year round. But here in Blighty, blimey. Let's just say the sphericals drop off if you go anywhere near the water in the northeast. Mind you, so anyway, so there's been weather challenges in Sicily this year. But let's look at whether you call it synchronicity or whether you call it Bichette, fate, or whether you call it anything else. These 2 men, Mike Lynch and Stephen Chamberlain, within days of each other are dead. Now, some people will say, hang on a second, Adrian. How can they create some weather to be specific to that yacht? I'm not suggesting that at all. But something just doesn't sit right. And when it doesn't sit right, there's something going on. I don't know what. Hang on, Bad Wolf says, Italian authorities have so far declined to identify those recovered. Authorities may wait to recover all bodies before notifying families, as Italian law requires formal identification by relatives. Alan Harp. I understand that. I do understand that. Welcome, Lottie. And what I'm saying is Stephen Chamberlain run over by a car. Freak accident, so they say. Ninja ESP powers. Yeah, Dan Brugger, you got it. And look, without going into too much detail, somebody tried to run my dad off the road. Sorry, off the pavement when I was a kid. My dad just went to the pub afterwards and had a few beers. But somebody tried to kill him. And they used a car. And it was just down the bottom of the road. I mean, he was as regular as clockwork with his routine. So if somebody did want to do something naughty, then they knew exactly what time it would be. So with my background and understanding, Stephen Chamberlain, the chief financial officer, who was accused of impropriety, financial impropriety, to the tune of billions of dollars, killed. And now Mike Lynch, accused of financial impropriety to the tune of billions. He's now dead. I mean, it's not necessarily, the Sicilian or the mafia, if you wish, omerta, which is their vow of silence. As Alan said, I know nothing. So is it... I mean, for this coming Sunday, I'm going to look at how things are being reported, because it's like the Sun have gone... Hang on a second. So I'll show you the front of the... I'm looking at the Royals, but let me show you the front of the Sun today. And as I say to you, I buy the media every day and keep an archive. And why do I do that? Because in 6 months' time, when somebody's saying, no, he didn't say that, I just go back to my archive and go, well, actually, here's the actual article. So that's the Sun front page today. I don't know whether you've seen it or whether you bought it, but... And I've seen the video, the actual video, the CCTV coverage of that boat going down. It's literally there 1 second and gone the next. So knowing shipping the way that I do, for a super yacht worth tens of millions to disappear in a millisecond, no, that doesn't work. That's never worked. And now that we're being told by the divers who went down to the wreckage, saying it's on its side, intact, and the mast is intact, the world's biggest mast. Lottie Martin says, there's nothing as good as a paper, real, tangible paper. I know, because they can't lie. It's like 9/11. You know that 9/11, I can't remember, Mohammed Atta. So the American authorities, British authorities, and the mainstream media all said Mohammed Atta was one of the pilots that flew the plane into the Twin Towers. The Sun reported 2 days later they had an interview with Mohammed Atta's dad, and his dad says, I've just spoken to my son, he's in Egypt. And he says, Dad, they're accusing me of flying the plane into one of those towers. That's not what the mainstream were telling you. That's not what those dodgy Americans were telling you. That's not what they were promulgating. And obviously they wanted to go into the Middle East and secure all the oil and the gas. But 2 days after, and within 3 days, George Bush, and not to get on to 9/11, but George Bush had sanctioned $50 billion of extra funding for the American military. Why would he do that? So anyway, so the newspapers today, that's the Sun. There's nothing on the front of the Mirror. Apart from kind of, you'd call that almost a column inch. That's all they were talking about in the Daily Mirror, not really covering the story. Massive front page splash. And I don't know whether the actual tragedy caught the mainstream media unawares, but they're just saying, could anyone still be alive? And I know that the Daily Mail got people out there pretty damn quick. I mean, you can get, fly straight into Palermo when you just round the code from actually where the yacht is. So it doesn't take much, and it's only a 3-hour flight from the UK to Sicily. But something is telling me that it's not all as it seems. And emergency service, I mean, the Sicilians are pretty good. They don't muck about. I mean, the Sicilians have a very unique attitude to life. I mean, they live on a volcanic island, and that volcano, Etna, erupts all the time. I mean, it's almost on a daily basis. And whilst I was there, there was plumes of lava being spewed out from Etna, and they just kind of, oh yeah, it's all right, it's fine, it's just Etna, and they grow exceptional wines on Etna because it's so fertile. The soil is so fertile and has a particular taste to it. Not that I've imbibed many, Your Honour. So I think there is more, but how can I say this? Hypothetical. I'm just talking off the top of me noggin. Imagine if a couple of billionaires had upset some very powerful people because autonomy was, and I'll do more about autonomy because autonomy is a very interesting company. The data that they do and work with, and Lynch and Chamberlain, there's just stuff. And I don't want to say it here in case I get it wrong, because you know what today it's like. You've got to have sources and name sources, and but just something isn't right. And I know by people asking, are we going to talk about it tonight? I think there's other people. I think people are feeling exactly the same. It's not an intellectual rigor. It's not something that you say, it's just a feeling. Just a feeling. And again, as I mentioned with Jay Slater's mum, Debbie, there's a tragedy here, a human tragedy. And we don't want to add to that tragedy. To a certain extent, we are being respectful, but there's just something not right. The timing, maybe that's synchronicity. 3 of the 6 people on that yacht were involved in Lynch legal troubles. I think he's one of them that he has died is his lawyer, and there was also somebody from one of the banks on there. Now, same as the Titanic, there's some very wealthy people on the Titanic, and it suited other people that these very wealthy people died on the Titanic. So I don't know how this sort of fits in with, and again, people will point and go, "Oh, bloody conspiracy theorists." It's not. It's just a feeling. And normally our instinct is right first off. Lottie says, yes, brings back Titanic memories. So well, okay, I'll ask you these questions. Who benefits from this? I acknowledge that there's a human tragedy here, and that it's not something that we would want our best friends to go through. As I've said with Jay Slater's mum, it's awful that a parent has to bury a child. There's a parent and 18-year-old daughter on this super yacht. But to go back to the very beginning, what I said is you always have to be respectful of the sea. This is a yacht that cost millions and millions and millions and didn't have sufficient to be able to keep people safe. Captain's going to have to answer a lot of questions. There are more questions than answers at the moment. I don't think that we... Teflon Guan says, money don't mourn. Very deep. Thank you, Teflon. Blummer, Chief Executive Officer of Morgan Stanley. That's the bank. Yeah, that's the money man. Tucker69, it's as dodgy as politicians. I agree. Rusty Mouse, always a cover-up going on. And Alan says, nothing wrong with asking questions. I'm a truther, not a conspiracy theorist. I'm with you, Alan. There are some very obvious questions here, but again, we have to be kind of respectful of the process. So they're going to get the bodies out and identify and account for everyone that was on board. The crew and captain are going to have to answer some very pointed questions, because seemingly there was some kind of balance facility on the yacht that would have kept them even keeled. And there was one other captain of a yacht saying that they were at anchor and that he had to come up and with his crew and stabilize his ship in the storm. I've seen the CCTV of the storm and the yacht and it bouncing around and then literally disappearing. Alan says, Johnny Nash, yeah, I get that. More questions than answers. The Bovril, have you seen if the yacht had any damage, like a bomb explosion damage, before I could draw a conclusion? It went down quick. I mean, a super yacht worth that amount of money with very wealthy people on board, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And as I said at the beginning of this, there's lots of people that sail around Sicily because it's a beautiful place, beautiful seas there. And this yacht had sailed across the Atlantic, from what I understand from some of the reportage. So it coming across the Atlantic, and then it gets done in a little sea off Sicily. That don't correlate, doesn't align at all. Do you not think? Lottie says we have to be interested, very respectfully. Interest is a part of acknowledging the tragedy and not wanting it to happen to others. So we want to understand, to help as humans. Beautifully put, Lottie. Beautifully done. And I agree. Yeah, Retro must be away at sea at the moment. I know he answered something on X. Oh, by the way, if you are on X, please go over and subscribe, because I'm a little more active there in real time than I can be on YouTube, because I can stick stuff up on X in a millisecond. And Retro answered a few things, so it would be interesting. I'll get in touch, and obviously Retro's not in the house tonight, but I will ask. It's not a merchant vessel, but yachts that are that expensive don't easily sink. Yeah, Bad Wolf Project yacht was fully refitted in 2020. It was, and it was officially launched, I can't remember the name, but in 2002. So it's only a 20-year-old yacht, and a bit like aeroplanes, they go on and on and on for a very long time. Alan says, strange how the other yacht nearby was undamaged. I agree. There was another yacht moored, anchored, not too far away. Nothing happened. So, Kate Webster, thank you, Kate. I follow you on X. Brilliant, Kate. Thank you. I think because the getting the people out to Sicily, getting the reporters out to Sicily to cover this story, they were a little late because it hit the wires. The boat sank 4 a.m. ish. Was hitting the wires at 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. So the newspapers would have had to have. There are flights to Catania, which is quite a way away, easily an hour and a half, 2 hours drive away. But Palermo is probably 20 minutes, half an hour drive, if that. But getting a flight into Palermo that day or the next day might have been problematic. But once they got the journalists mobilized and got them out there, it's probably tomorrow where they'll start doing a bit of digging, if they're allowed, or just report on what's going on today. The news cycle is very short, very, very short. So the stuff that, as Bad Wolf Project says, that there's maybe 5 bodies being recovered today. That would be in the news tomorrow, but we're already aware of that because we're talking about that on social media, on YouTube. So that bit of information is old news by the time it gets into the newspapers in the morning. So let's see what they come out with. I'm not hopeful that they're going to give us anything new, but on the one hand, it is a terrible tragedy. On the other, for me, doesn't sit right. It doesn't. So the captain will be able to give. There's going to be an inquiry because there's how many people? 6 bodies. Most of the crew recovered, other than the chef. Interesting, Super Ted. If it was a small fishing boat, would it have made the news? Interesting question. But there's a big loss of life. So somebody going overboard, it's not really, people on ferries with my dad, and take this in the spirit it's offered. My dad said, never go to the back of a boat or a ship. Never go to the back, because the wake will pull you in. And it's been known that people just fall off the end of ships. And my dad worked on big ships, not the kind of ships that Retro works on, but merchant navy all the same. And he said to me, just do not go to the back of a ship, because the wake will pull you in. Now, only a true seaman would know that. Nicholas, who could poison people? Well, there's Captain Bob. Robert Maxwell. He fell off his yacht. Huge, worth millions yacht. And now he's buried just outside of Jerusalem on the Mount of Olives. Now, there is a ruling, and it's law, that you can't dig up graves that are on the Mount of Olives. So, young Robert Maxwell, if he's in South America, choking on a cigar, they can't dig his body up out of the Mount of Olives. So we don't know who pushed him over, if he was pushed over. I mean, I've read his autobiography, and it's you get 3/4 of the way through, and it's like, oh, just tell us who did what. Yeah, exactly that. Fell or pushed, but I mean, he was in chokey to tens of millions of pounds. He would have ended up in jail, no doubt. It's all in the numbers, says exactly that. Alan says, allegedly, Maxwell selling chips with Elvis and Lord Logan. Yeah. Bad Wolf Project. Bloomer was a non-exec director of Hiscox, who the yacht was insured with. That's very interesting. Talker 69, I grew up around boats too, learned lots about all sorts. You do, Talker 69. They pass on the knowledge, because we are a sceptred isle and we are a great seafaring nation. I had a lot to talk about tonight, and we're getting around to about 90 minutes. So I want to talk about Farage and reform, because I don't know whether you've spotted this. So we'll leave the Sicilian yacht for the moment. I will talk more about it on Sunday once I've done my due diligence and I've read all of the reportage. I have the newspapers every single day, and I'll read all of the reportage so that you don't have to, and we'll get into whatever is there. Stuart says, my dad always said that to me as a kid as well. Yeah. I just want to pass a comment about, I know a lot of people here are not necessarily politically active, but have got good nous. People that watch this channel know what's what. And are you watching these online attacks on Nigel Farage? What they're doing and how they're doing it. They're bad-mouthing him. And they're saying, oh, he's doing this and he's doing that. And what about the people of Clacton? Oh, well, I bet you're happy that you voted for him now. And what about reform? Well, a new poll out today says, if the election was held tomorrow, reform would win 63 seats. Have you noticed the Lib Dems? Knock, knock. Who's there? Oh, the Liberal Democrats. Who? Now, I know the clowns are back in town in 2 weeks, but there's going to be blood up the walls in Westminster, because the people are not interested in being told what they should do. The people of this island are not interested in being told, oh, you're a bit dim, you should vote this way. Oh, you've got choice of two, Conservatives or Labour. People of this island, 4 million of them, voted, had enough. Enough is enough. We've had enough. So the political classes, in my view, are absolutely shitting themselves because their power lies with you believing that there's only one choice, Tory or Labour. The Lib Dems, they're just mad. They probably want to legalise weed. But reform? So Farage, he's their number one. He's public enemy number one. Why? Because he's affecting the status quo. And I don't mean rocking all over the world before you start, you're wrong. So Nigel Farage, all right, he's a posh boy. He's got a few mil. And so is Richard Tice, and reform is backed to millions. But the political classes who run the game, and the game is rigged, the people that run the game want him gone. They want reform gone. Because that's upsetting their power. It's upsetting their power base and their money and their earning potential and being able to grift and take money off the top, skim it off the top without you knowing. Because all the clowns are doing, they're just a distraction. That's all it is. If the shit hits the fan in the circus, what do? They send the clowns in. Mind you, they're not necessarily clowns, they're jockeys, because all of them are not cockeyed. Little rich boy, are you sure he's out of sixth form? Keir Starmer, he's gone full-on dictator. And another question for you that maybe you'd be able to help me with. Why did Keir Starmer, up to the general election, not wear glasses? And now everything you see him in, he's wearing glasses. Has he suddenly gone, right, let's get a bit of focus. I'm going to shaft you now. And all this money that they're paying out to the rail unions and the rail drivers, have you noticed that it's starting to come out that the government is spending too much? So inflation's going to go up. So Keir Starmer, is he scaring you yet? Because he's scaring the bejesus out of me. He's the Chinese Communist Party writ large. He's WEF writ large. It's the Great Reset. It's the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And he's going to shaft you. He's going to stick his cock up your ass. And even if you squeal, he doesn't give a fuck. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? For 18 months I tried to tell you. You didn't listen to me. Well, you might have done, but there's lots of other people that didn't. These clowns are bending you over. And they're going to have you every which way they can. Every single way. And who's their number one public enemy that they need to get rid of? Because they don't want you voting any other way. They don't want you to vote for reform. How very dare you? I mean, the laughable Lib Dems, you had a third choice. You didn't choose them because they're fucking idiots. Let's talk about the post office, shall we? So, and it gets me angry because this is supposed to be the mother of all parliaments and democracy. And do we have democracy? No, do we hell? You have a choice, but it's a choice that they decide that you can have, and you can have one or two. Labour or Tory. But the thing that these political classes are, I mean, they're stupid. They are stupid. I've expelled more intelligent stuff than these idiots. What they forget is that the man and woman on the street, they're not buying into a choice of two. They're voting with their feet, and the political classes are losing control of the game that they rigged, the game that they rigged in their favour. And I've been telling you this from the beginning of this channel. I told you in one of the very first videos that politics is a rigged game, and you'll do as you're told. But the man and woman on the street, look, 4 million people decided that they've had enough. But what's coming up? Local elections. So why would they be after Farage and after reform? Because they're bricking it. Look, the people have had enough. The political classes are bricking it because they know that the people have had enough. So what will they do? They'll either take us all to war of some kind. But first, get rid of Farage, get rid of reform. Oh, they're only diddly. They've only got a couple of MPs in power. The illusion of choice is their Trump card, pun intended. So that's what they're up to. But as I say, today, Wednesday, new poll released, if an election were held tomorrow, Reform would win 63 seats. This juggernaut's not stopping. That's why they're at him. That's why they want him gone. They want him and his party gone. But this is politics. This is democracy. If 4 million people decide that they've had enough of their shenanigans, they can foxtrot Oscar. And to Keir Starmer? Why would he start wearing glasses? Is it an image thing? Look, he's buying into the Marxism and communism of the world. Communism never worked. It's never worked. It's a great ideal, great theology, but it's never worked. Unless you've got people at the bottom impoverished. So do you want to live your life impoverished? Do you want to live your life owning nothing but you'll be happy? Yet all these at the top are living high on the hog. So I want to tell you the devil in disguise. Now, I gave you a clue recently. And the clue is this. I told you that there is a former politician, a former prime minister, who reframed and rephrased something. He called it an individual digital identifier. So why is Tony Blair the devil in disguise this week? Very simply. Department of Work and Pensions are being urged to introduce new, and I quote, mass surveillance in strict benefits clampdown by Tony Blair. Charles Linton, Bow Street Magistrates. Google it. Miranda. So the Tony Blair Institute is recommending the government incorporates artificial intelligence into the public sector. You know what's coming, don't you? If you think Starmer the Harmer, Kommrade Keir, is evil, Tony Blair knocks all of these clowns into a cocked hat. Tony Blair reckons, or Tony Blair's Institute reckons, they should include utilising technology to clamp down on benefits fraud following last month's election. The ex-Prime Minister said the UK must take advantage of the full opportunity of governing in the age of artificial intelligence. So that's how they're going to sell it to you. Oh, look, if we use artificial intelligence to clamp down on benefits fraud, we can use artificial intelligence to clamp down on economic migrants, so we know who's who and what's what and where's where. I told you. Individual digital identifier. And Blair wants to control it. Never mind Starmer the Harmer. Tony Blair is an ever-present evil entity. In my view, part 2 of The Devil in Disguise this week. Tony Blair again, fan my brow. So, according to the Tony Blair Institute, or certainly a Tony Blair think tank, they should bring in AI doctors and strip GP practices of sole data controller role, says this Tony Blair think tank. I'm going to read that to you again because the repercussions for this are massive. You think Big Pharma is making a profit? So Tony Blair's think tank wants to bring in AI doctors and strip GP practices of sole data controller role. What that means in plain English is the doctor, you'll see the doctor and you go, oh, doctor, I've got this and that and the other. And they'll go, oh, there's some tablets, or there's that and there's that. And they'll have your full medical history. AI doctors, or the people controlling the AI, would have access to your medical records. All of it. All of it, all of the time. So who would benefit from that? We'll get to that in a second. The government should strip GPs of their role as sole data controllers of patients' records and bring in AI doctors to support decisions about care as part of a major NHS digital overhaul, an influential think tank has said. Tony Blair has got his grubby little fingers into some very promising and prospectively profitable pies. So while he's playing the daft lad, the man and woman on the street are having their medical records sold to Big Pharma. Don't tell me that won't happen, please. I'm too old a cat to be fucked by a kitten. Please don't tell me. Because we know they're corrupt. Politicians are corrupt. They always lie. He's a politician. He's a lifetime professional politician. And what would happen? They would sell your records off to the highest bidder. And who would the highest bidder be? Correct. Big Pharma. So you think you're a lab rat now? Just remember what happened 4 years ago with the jibber jabber. You were told. You tried to do the right thing. And what happened? No judgment here, because we were all in the same boat. But the devil in disguise this week, Tony Blair. I mean, he scares the bejesus out of me. He'll cure my constipation no end. He don't care. He's evil. He just wants the money. Give me the Benjamins. Selling your medical records and data. That's what's coming. Oh, it must have been the AI. There must have been a glitch. Look, if you look at any of the software that's been brought in for, I don't know, the NHS or prisons or stuff where it costs billions, and then 6 months in they go, don't work. Don't work. We'll scrap it. And all those billions they put into software, it's your taxes. It's not the government's money. It's your taxes. And what are they going to do? Bring AI in? And then they're going to flog all... I mean, I'll go into my doctors and go, doctor, it's hanging to the left today. What can I do about that? There's a pill. Take that. Oh, doctor, I'm feeling a bit... oh, just take a pill. And the minute the big pharma get into your medical records, they go, oh, we can get in with that, and we can get in with that, and we can get in with that. GPs are the keepers to the castle. They've got the key. And if you get beyond the GPs and you're using AI as doctors, and they can prescribe anything. Oh, yeah, look, you've got this condition called cocks are flopping, so we're going to have to hack off your leg. Oh, doctor, no. A human doctor wouldn't tell you this. We're doing this for your own benefit, for your own good. You're a cash cow. And if we hack your leg off, we'll make 10 grand out of that. And Tony Blair is the one suggesting this. Don't know much. I know he's a daft lad. I know he's evil. Where's the money going? Is it through the Blair Institute, or is it going through his multimillionaire son? Honestly, I had to tell you that because it's on the cards. It's on the horizon. This man should not be that man. And do you know this idiot, this bagpipe playing idiot, the Scotsman, who I won't name. And he's always, oh, now that Labour's in power, I can start making, money through the media. Yeah, Foxtrot, Oscar, you don't know how angry you make me. This is the man that was head of communications for Tony Blair. This is the man that sexed up a document where they said there was a clear and present danger with Saddam Hussein and weapons of mass destruction. 45-minute clear and present danger was their bollocks. Blair and Campbell need to be serving a jail sentence because they lied. Not only did they lie to me and you, which is bad enough, they lied to Parliament. And Parliament didn't do anything. Mother of all parliaments. No weapons of mass destruction ever found. Blair. Be liar. Charles Linton, Bow Street Magistrates. Google it. He's evil. And what the people that have done, that voted for Labour and Starmer the Harmer, they've let the evil back into the castle. Wasn't a choice of two. Some people tried with Farage and Reform. I do believe that the next general election there's going to be a massive political upheaval. Massive. That's if we get there. Because the WEF have got a 10-year agenda going. Agenda 2030. And in 5 years' time, that's probably going to be in place. Topic 69. Importunism, wasn't it, Adrian? I agree, topic 69. Louise Hampson, Alistair Campbell and Tony Blair, evil as Foxtrot. I agree. But nobody actually ever says the truth. Nobody ever says this. Because now you'll have a lot of people worried about going to jail. I'm not inciting anything. And I think for the next while, I'm going to have to put disclaimers at the front and back of all my lives. Because we're not going to be allowed to talk about it. That's why I asked about membership. Look, Terry Wookford's back in the house. Terry, good to see you. Terry says, technically, there was 45 minutes mentioned in briefing to Blair, but it was explained by David Kelly in that briefing. That's why he got Epsteined. I know, there was no weapons of mass destruction found. But shit tons of oil and gas. I mean, I've seen the video of Saddam Hussein being sentenced to death by the judge. And he's basically, up yours. What a boy. He knew what the game was. So I have got other things that, there's the Farage stuff. There was the Blair is just abjectly evil. He don't care. He's got no feelings at all. He doesn't care. Look what he did to this country. Mind you, you got Thatcher and the miners' strikes. But I wanted to talk about renationalisation. I wanted to talk about Britain helping Ukraine to invade Russia. That's a massive story. That's massive. You do know that basically NATO has been fighting Russia with Ukraine because we're part of NATO. We've been giving Ukraine tons of stuff, unseen by the rest of the world. It's been going on. No wonder Putin's a bit annoyed. Is that going to be the start of World War III? NATO and Ukraine against Russia? I was also going to ask you, final question, and thank you for staying with me tonight. As I said, I was going to go deep. So those that came in late, I'd watched the first bit. Scott Ritter is worth listening to about warmongering. Oh, nuts and bolts, it's everywhere. It is everywhere. So have you worked it out yet? I'm going to use different words, but you've been here long enough so you know what the words are, you know what they mean. But have you worked it out yet? The jibber jabber? Shingles? And the bum pox? I know they're calling it pox. You know why, don't you? They're side effects of the jibber jabber. How long is that going to take to come out? Now, shingles, we've known about the don't care, Blair, Stewart, Alan, Storm Shadow, Trigger, Linton got off easily. I know Rusty Mouse. Kate, if you just Google Charles Linton, Charles, usual spelling, as in king, Charles, and Linton is Lynton. It's on this, you can come back to it. Charles Linton and Bow Street Magistrates, BOW. You might, once you get into the rabbit hole, you might find out all about Miranda. Who's Miranda, Adrian? I'm not going to give you all your answers. Terry Wookford says, 45 minutes was how long it takes for a Scud to roll up to its launch site and to get a missile in the air. That's what Kelly told Blair and co. He did also explain that Iraq had no WMDs. Terry also says, shame Kelly's briefings notes are locked up for 50 years. Have they got a D notice on them? I wonder why. And from the moderator, YouTube will suppress certain words on live chat and posts on videos. Guess we will in time create our own Enigma codes. Wonderful. So that's why I use the word jibber jabber. You know exactly what that is. I want to go Charlie 19 or 19. You know exactly what that is. But it bypasses everything. Mad Matt UK, I had shingles in 1991, but shingles is a proven side effect to the jibber jabber. Proven. And a friend of the family has got shingles, but also had the jibber jabber. And I did ask, is it monkeypox? No, I think it's just shingles. But shingles and monkeypox, bumpox, are side effects of the jibber jabber. I bet you won't read that. I bet it won't be on the front page of the Sun tomorrow. No. They just want you to be scared. But that's why I'm here. Because I can tell you what it is, and I can tell you not to be scared. Because they're injecting the poison. That's all they're doing. They're injecting the poison. And the poison is fear. They want your attention. They want you to be scared because you're controlled. Now, if you want to go back to, can you remember the film Wall-E? Can you remember the film? The little cartoon thing, Wall-E, about the little thing, the little box thing, the little computer. Do you know what that was actually about? It was about human beings being controlled and having their spine removed because they didn't get out of the chair from being in front of the computer screen all day, every day. So they didn't need a spine. They evolved to not needing a spine because they were sat in a bloody chair all the time. It wasn't about little Wall-E. It was about the human condition and how they were controlling the human condition and evolving the human condition to be a cash cow. But you were thinking, oh, little Wall-E, oh, he's lovely, yeah. I was thinking, holy shite. Is that what they've got planned for us? Might take another 50, 75 years. But it's all there. They tell you before they do it. Moderator says, top tip, if you wish to post a comment that's controversial, use ChatGPT to rewrite your post. But don't link your email account to ChatGPT or use an incognito browser, private browsing. Got to be careful. We are the resistance. Andrew James says, Unit 731 always comes to mind when the jibby is mentioned and shingles. Yeah. So, I think that's enough for tonight. Honestly, the reason why I do these lives is because I want you to be aware that it's us. It's not you. It's not you on your own. We are a community. If you want this community to grow, please just tell people that we are the resistance. I don't get paid for this, but I am doing it because we need to help people know and get context and get understanding. And that's what these lives are here for. Triggy says, bye, mate. Cheers, Triggy. Terry Wookford says, and it's been quietly released that Ofgem are raising the cap on energy prices, so look forward to another increase in bills this October, even though wholesale energy prices are lower than pre-2018. Thank you, Terry. Working in Scotland and living in Scotland, I live just along the road from a nuclear power station, and I went out on the source with somebody that worked there, remain nameless, and I said, so we were just randomly talking, and he said, you know how energy prices are worked out? And I said, no. He said, we know a minimum of 2 or 3 years ahead of time how much energy is going to cost. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you know, in 3 years' time, you're going to be going, ooh, bloody hell, prices are going up, energy prices, oh, it's a bit tight. He said, we know what's going on. So we know how much we are selling energy for 2 to 3 years ahead. So they're increasing the energy cap by about 146, 150 quid in October. They're squeezing you. So I'll give you everything that's happening in this one paragraph. How do you think they're going to get you from here to owning nothing and being happy? How do you think they're going to do that? Told you before, and you probably missed this and probably didn't understand it, but I've told you previously, if you put a frog in a pan of boiling water, the frog will jump straight back out. But if you put a frog in a pan of cold water and then turn the heat on, the frog will die because it'll be boiled to death. So what they're doing is they're making sure that you've got no money, because then you can be controlled. BlackRock are buying up housing stock left, right and centre worldwide. You know, BlackRock own 44% of the Ukraine, 44% of the Ukrainian land. So they're going to want to control your food. So they'll control your money, they'll control your house or your ability to have a house, and they're going to control your food. What else do you need them to have control of? A digital currency will control your money. You will be told by the Communist Party that will run this country, unless you play ball, you'll get no food. Unless you play ball, you'll get no money. Unless you play ball with the Communist Party that's going to run this country. And please don't think that it's going to be the Tory Party or anybody else. The political classes are in on the game. They're 4 years into a 10-year plan. The 10-year plan is going to end in 2027. So it's not a 10-year plan, Adrian. Of course it's not. They're getting so close to the finish line, they want you just to shut up and do as you're told. So they're going to control your money. They're going to, if you play ball with the Communist Party, they might give you a nice house. Look at China. That's what they do. Digital money. Get a house if the ruling Communist Party allow it. Controlling your food, your ability to eat. You didn't see this coming, did you? Or did you? My name's Adrian Allen. Thank you for the likes. Smash the likes on your way out, you wrong 'uns. It's been a fairly full Kirk this evening. It's been fabulous for a Wednesday. Thank you very much to those legendary Battenbergers who've been very kind and supportive this evening. To Millie and to Rich. And to you for just being here. Please spread the word. Brilliant. Nicholas says, if I get Mpox, I'm going to go in ape. Brilliant. So please spread the word, because it's important that people, not necessarily, because some of the information I've given you this evening might scare people, but we are here for you. And we are here to support you and give you context and give you understanding on what's going on. Because that way, they're never going to beat us. Because we're humankind. Not clowns who are evil. Thank you for your likes tonight. Thank you for your support. Don't forget to make sure that you subscribe for more stuff that's coming, because I didn't get everything done tonight by a long stretch. And there's no need to worry. We will prevail. Because they need us. We don't need them. We've got their game. They don't understand us. My name's Adrian Allen. Enjoy your Battenberg, you wrong and see you for the next live Sunday, 8 p.m. We'll do more of the same, giving you insight into stuff that's not normally allowed into the mainstream media. And I'm off for another cup of hibiscus, and I'll see you in the next video tomorrow, hopefully. Enjoy your evening, and don't have nightmares. I'll always be there for you. See you later.